Hello and welcome to a car review on the Cars.co.za YouTube channel. I'm Ciro and this is a BMW 2 Series Gran Coupe. You can think of it as a 1 Series with a boot. You can also think of it as the most unattractive BMW ever. In case you're trying to keep track, the 2 Series is the 2-door version of the 4-door 1 Series, and this is the 4-door version of the 2 Series. Anyway, this is the first ever 2 Series Gran Coupe, which does make it quite interesting, but I just cannot get used to the way this car looks. Okay, so 2 things. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to my curse, and that is that we'll spend the entire day filming. Everything will be perfectly calm and quiet. As soon as I take out my microphone, a vacuum cleaner, an angle grinder, a weed eater, a chainsaw, someone hammering their gutters, 14 children, 3 dogs will all immediately appear at the same time. So excuse the noise, but we'd be here all day if I had to wait for it to finish. Second of all, I've been staring at this car for the last 4 days, trying to work out what has gone wrong here. What is it that I don't like about the car? And I think somewhere between the headlight and the tail light, something's gone wrong. And I think it's over here. I think this is the problem. The proportion of the rear shoulder to the wheel and tire is completely off. It's very un-BMW-like. And yes, these are the cheap wheels and tires. They're the 17s. But at the same time, it just looks like they took a 1 Series and stuck a boot on the back. It just feels a bit lazy. But I would imagine that my opinion of what this car looks like is not particularly useful. So let me do my job and give you some useful consumer advice about this BMW 2 Series. Now, interestingly, in South Africa, Audi won't sell you an A3 sedan with a diesel motor, and I'm busy driving the 220D. So let's discount that completely and focus on the Mercedes CLA, and they also have a 2-liter diesel in their lineup. And interestingly, the price point between this car and the Mercedes CLA diesel is just over 1,000 Rand. So you're looking at about 670 for both of these cars, and that strikes me as quite expensive. I'm not sure this car is worth 670,000 Rand. But anyway, let's persevere and go into the stats a little bit deeper. So both cars run 2-liter diesel engines. Both cars have 140 kilowatts. Both cars have 400 Newton meters of torque. But the fuel consumption in the Mercedes is a little bit better. 4.4 to the 100 in the Mercedes and 4.8 liters to the 100 in the Beamer. The Merc is also a little bit faster in terms of its 0 to 100 time. Other than that, there's pretty much no difference, except for, again, and here's my opinion, just my opinion, the Mercedes is a fantastic looking car. Really, really beautiful. Mercedes knocked that out the park. Whereas the Beamer, this one, well, you already know what I think of it. Let's not go down that road again. Right, the boot. Seeing as you've bought a 2 Series Gran Coupe and not a 1 Series, I imagine you're quite interested in boots. So let me take you through this one. It is actually very smart. So it looks a bit shallow, right? But it's actually a false floor. If you fold that out of the way and sort of folds like an accordion, you get a lot more space, a hell of a lot more space actually. But the reason it's there is because when you flick the seats down, then you get a completely flat load area. And BMW have made it very easy to flick the seats down. So you don't have to go around the side of the car and hit the release. There's actually a release under here. Pull that, seat unclicks, and then you just push it flat with whatever it is you're trying to load, which I don't have, so I'll just do it myself. There we go. The seats fold 40-40-20. So, you know, if you need to load some skis, you can do that through the 20 part, which is quite convenient. But it does feel like the effort they put into the inside of the boot is inversely proportional to the effort they put into designing the boot, which is a bit awkward. The interior is arguably the highlight of this car. No, not arguably, it is. The cabin is spacious, rear legroom is decent, but rear headroom is quite limited. Even passengers under 6 foot might feel a little cramped in that department. The dashboard is identical to that of the 1 Series, which is no bad thing. It's very functional, very easy to use, and it's definitely not as exciting to look at as that in the Mercedes CLA, but certainly feels well built and upmarket. So of course the big news here is that this is a front-wheel drive BMW, which the purists have become very upset about. But, and this is a big but because I was very surprised by this as well, it almost doesn't matter in a car like this. And on the way to the shoot this morning, very early, had the whole road to myself, and I drove quite enthusiastically, and I discovered that this BMW is fantastic to drive. I was unbelievably stunned by that. It's a really, really good drive. The chassis, the suspension setup, BMW have absolutely nailed it. But that is probably the last reason why someone who wants a 4-door 2 Series would buy this car. It feels like such a waste of a good character trait. It's like finally getting a date with Monica Bellucci and then discovering that she can also do your tax returns. I mean, it's nice, but you don't care. Wait, Monica Bellucci is very attractive. Sorry, terrible metaphor. Scratch that. And the fact that this car handles so well has confused the daylights out of me, because what is the point of this car? And I think that BMW's 3 Series has become very large and very expensive, and so there is space for a car like this in the lineup. A relatively compact sedan that has a nice big boot. So that's what you're getting here. I'm not sure if this feels like 670,000 rands worth of car. In fact, it doesn't. Let's just put that out there. There's a lot better value, I think, elsewhere in the market. But if you're desperate for a BMW badge, you're desperate for 4 doors and a boot, and you don't particularly want an X1, for instance, or an X2, then you'll probably be very satisfied with this car. It does offer a good BMW experience. The problem is that when you climb out of the car and look at it, you'll immediately realize that you've made a terrible life decision. So then what is the point of this car? It's roomy in here, it's comfortable, it's got lots of great tech, the boot's pretty big, it's a very practical sedan. If you're not interested in an SUV, this is a good daily car. Also obviously giving you great consumption from the diesel engine. And if you do get to a twisty mountain road and you do feel like having a bit of fun, it's going to provide that as well. I just cannot get past the looks of this car. Do you know what this car reminds me of? Remember doing group work at school and everyone pulls their weight except that one guy? Kind of feels like that with this car. The chassis engineers, the suspension engineers, drivetrain, engine, gearbox, everyone knocked it out of the park, except for the person responsible for the design. Yeah, they really pulled a half day here. Just, 1 Series, boot. Cool, that's it guys, we're done. We're done here. Off to the Brow House. Who wants a beer? I'm out, we're good. Let's call it a day. Move on to the M8 competition Gran Coupe. Did you know that we also sell really awesome car-themed merchandise? Check out our range of custom t-shirts and prints at our online store now. Simply click on the square box on your screen and we'll take you there, or the link is in the description below. Thanks for watching.